Your take on those comments from McNabb?
You know, I played with Donovan McNabb. I played against him. He was a heck of a quarterback, heck of a competitor. This to me, I know he's in the media now. This to me seems a little bit like jealousy. You know, back when Donovan was the quarterback for the Eagles, he got him to the NFC Championship game 4 years in a row. 1 year he actually beat us, the Atlanta Falcons, and went to the Super Bowl. I think a lot of this comes from just his need and want to have been the guy to take them to that Super Bowl and actually win one. Nick Foles was that guy. You know, I've always said that, you know, you should have made a decision, whether it was Nick Foles or Carson Wentz. The Philadelphia Eagles felt like Nick Foles was the guy that they wanted to let walk. They kept Carson Wentz. So to put a timetable on Carson Wentz and say, hey, 2 years to get out the second round of the playoffs, you know, the kind of talent that Carson Wentz is, you can't find those kind of guys on trees. And so for me, I'm rocking with Carson Wentz. You know, in this league, if you can make it to the playoffs, that's like the almost like the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. If you can get in that area, in that bracket, you got a chance to win it all. And so, you know, Carson's success has kind of, you know, been labeled because of his injuries. Not, you know, people still aren't really sure of how good Carson Wentz is. I believe that this guy is a great talent at the quarterback position in the league. You know, you know, I know I'm rambling, but
no, you're not. I get it.
Yeah, because it's hard to put just that one single label on what this guy brings to that team. You know, people said when Nick Foles got the chance to play that, they needed that calm kind of different mentality than Carson Wentz. And then when Carson Wentz got back out there, they were like, man, we were missing that. And so it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But Carson Wentz is a player, and I don't think Philly can do much without him.
Why wasn't Donovan jealous of Nick Foles? Why didn't he call him a mirage? Why didn't he say that was just a blip instead of a trend? Because he was the Super Bowl MVP, which Donovan never was. Because
it wasn't popular to say that.
Okay.
To me, it wasn't popular to jump on that bandwagon and say, hey, Carson, Nick Foles won the Super Bowl, but he's still not that good. Then people would have said, man, you are a straight hater.
Okay. Are you
but
saying
to speak a little bit of truth, there's a little bit of truth into this Carson Wentz conversation. That's why I'm saying it's not totally far-fetched. Carson does have to stay healthy. But as we know in this league, being healthy sometimes is just luck of the draw. I mean, it really is. You take a guy like Charles Woodson. Early in his career, he was kind of injury-riddled a little bit. Oakland ran him out of there. He goes, finds another home in Green Bay, and proceeds to put on a Hall of Fame career. And then you get guys who never get hurt early in their career, and then toward the back half, get injury after injury after injury. And so, to me, Carson Wentz is still a very young player in this league. We know he can play. He was almost the MVP had he played the rest of that season. And so we know this kid can actually play. You don't think so, Uncle Shay?
No,
come on now.
Does.
You with me? I agree. You know, I'm with you. That's what I've been trying to tell Skip all along. He would have been his second year had he not gotten injured. He would have been the MVP, and this would have been a moot conversation. I know it was Easter yesterday, and maybe Donovan think they hide quarterbacks in the weeds, and teams can go out there and find one. That's not how it works, Donovan. You understand this. Understand how this process works. And if you got a quarterback and you think about what they did to get him, they moved heaven and earth. They're not giving up on him just yet. He's going to have to show for an extended period of time he can't stay healthy. But they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt because you know why? The Indianapolis Colts did the same thing with Andrew Luck. Remember? All those injuries, he missed an entire season. He missed 8 games. He missed 3 games here and there. And they's like, you know what? We're going to ride with him. And they gave him the big deal. I believe this will be a very, very similar situation with Carson Wentz because I believe he has the ability. And again, I believe the ability to stay healthy is also an ability. But some things are within your control. Some things isn't. You get a situation like Brett Favre, Skip, he goes 20 years. And in his last year, he gets injured. You get a guy like Tom Brady. Tom Brady has that hiccup in year 8, year 9? Misses the entire season, never misses another game. Peyton Manning goes 12, 13 years, never misses a game. Has that hiccup, never misses another. So it is like D. Hall said, sometimes you just have to knock on wood like, wow, I played this long and I only missed one game or I only got a hiccup here. And then some guy, and I can't catch a break. But Carson, walk it to him, Wentz, will be the Eagles quarterback for the very foreseeable future. And this year, in 2019, they will be the representative in the NFC East as the division champs.
I don't know about that.
Now,
run tell that.
Now, unless Donovan knows something we don't know. If Carson Wentz's back injury is a lot more serious than we know, than we don't know, then that's a different story. But all that bar aside, I think he can still.
I do not care about injuries. I am here to tell both of you, you're both going to be proven wrong about bounce it to him Wentz, because that's who he is at heart. He had one magic carpet ride with a loaded football team.
But could we say that for Nick Foles?
Nick Foles took them to levels that Carson Wentz never could have dreamed taking them. Because what happened? What did your eye? I know what my eye test told me. When I watched Carson Wentz operate that offense, and then I saw Nick Foles, I said, taking it to another level. He looks more comfortable. He looks more in charge. He looks more in command of that West Coast offense. It just looked like he performed better at quarterback than Carson Wentz ever did.
Skip, my question is, did Nick look like that when he left Philly the first time?
No, but he went.
He looked lost, right?
He went to Jeff Fisher. What happens to people who
did
play
he look like that the first
Fisher?
time? Hey, D.O., did he look like that the first time around in Philly?
Wait a second. He had 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions one year in Philadelphia early.
That's 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year.
Okay. Did he not back it up with 2
okay,
playoff
what about walking to him? What about walking to him his second year? What did he have?
Okay. I'm going to say this again. I said it from the start. Rookie year was pretty much a disaster for Carson Wentz. Deer in headlights, shaky under fire. And then he had the blip year, which is the magic carpet ride, but he only made it to week 13.
Oh, the blip.
Okay, well, again, he made it to week 13, and he just got his knee. I'm knocking on wood for him. I'm not even talking about injuries, but Nick Foles steps in, and the offense takes a lift. You know, it goes to this level, and then it goes to this level, and finally it went to the highest level, and he's the Super Bowl MVP. I know Donovan very well, and is he jealous? I don't think so. I think he's a truth teller. I think he's trying to tell Eagles fans what they don't want to hear, but need to hear. Because in the end, he's right. This kid has showed you next to nothing, because last year he came back relatively healthy, and what happened? He lost to Dallas twice, and then he gets hurt again, and Nick Foles takes it up 3 levels and goes and wins at Chicago, and then had New Orleans on the ropes until the ball goes right through Alshon's hand and is intercepted and kills the game-winning drive in a playoff game in New Orleans.
Skip, can I ask you something? I just want to know this. You said he had that blip season in his second year in the league. Well, what about that blip season that Dak Prescott had his rookie year? You see, if you look at Carson Wentz's numbers when he had Jay Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount running the football, he was unbelievable. We look at Dak Prescott in his rookie year and his third year when he had Zeke running the football. But what did he look like when Zeke Elliott had to sit on the sideline when he was dealing with what he had to deal with off the field? What did Dak Prescott look like, Skip Bayless, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because last year he looked like a star quarterback to me, because he finally got a #1 receiver, and they just took off and ran away with the division again. They ran away again. How do you explain that?
Yes, I explained that because for 2 of his 3 years, he's had the league lead rusher. And in the year that he didn't lead the league in rushing, in the games that he played, he averaged yards per game, which meaning if he'd have played all 16, he would have led the league in rushing again. Okay. That's how I explain it. D-Ho, how you explain it?
Why did the Eagles take off in Carson Wentz's second year? It was simply because Dallas went south, because the Zeke cloud hung over that team from training camp forward. Is he going to be suspended? Is he not? Finally suspended for 6 games. They lose Ty Smith, the best left tackle in football. They lose Sean Lee, who was then the driving force of their defense. And they collapse in the middle of the year. Then they started to get it back when they got healthy at the end of the year and finished 9-7, which was pretty good given what they were. But they cleared the decks for the Eagles to win the division. They can't. The Eagles can't win this division unless Dallas doesn't win the division.
And the Super Bowl year, you didn't say anything about Jason Peters getting hurt. They lost their linebacker. They lost one of their D linemen. People have injuries. I just want you to tell me about the blip that Dak had when Zeke is eating. That's why they're going to take care of Zeke first, because we saw when the Rams shut Zeke down, they're going to take care of Zeke. Well, you better take care of it.
No,
you better take care of it.
He's been eating too much.
Just fine, yeah. We're not worried about
We're not worried about
We're okay. We're okay. He can wait. He's fat and happy right now, right?
No, see, there you go, Skip. There you go. There ain't nothing wrong with that man.
Yeah.
You need to pay that man his money. Twice he's led the league in rushing, and it hasn't been close.
All I know is that Dak Prescott led the league over the last 3 years in game-winning drives. And in his first 3 years, he set the all-time record for completion percentage just over his first 3 years of any quarterback in history. That's all I need to know. I'm taking that to the Cowboy Bank. Carson Wentz is not as good as Dak Prescott.
I disagree.
Hey, well, wait a second. What happened in the fourth quarter and overtime last year against Philadelphia? Dak threw for 243.
It's 2 games, Skip.
How do you explain that?
I love how you, Skip Bayless, I love how you do this, where you keep throwing out this stat over the last 3 years. Dak Prescott has the most game-winning drive.
He does.
Look here, a man that almost drowns me doesn't get credit for giving me CPR. He put him in the hole. He should have brought him back.
Put him in the hole. He took him.
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you that.
His bad play in the first 3 quarters is what he's saying.
So you're saying
You're
saying he's Tebow-esque then? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, those 3. Are we going to talk about those 3 interceptions? You keep bringing up he threw for 243 in the second half in overtime. What about those 3 interceptions that he threw? I didn't hear you mention those.
What about the 3 touchdown passes he threw in the fourth quarter in overtime?
Okay.
How about that?
So you think Dak Prescott's body of work?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Look at what happened last year. Carson Wentz's QBR plummeted.
Now, are you saying that just because he's on the field and he's healthy, or are you saying a healthy Carson Wentz and a healthy Dak Prescott?
Has Dak missed
you
any
still
games
want
yet
Dak
in his
Prescott?
career? Help me out. Has he missed any games? I don't remember a game he's missed.
That's why I'm asking.
Okay.
Good point, though.
Okay.
Is it just because of he's able to stay
it's not
healthy?
just because of that. I saw another guy,
So
a
throwing the
quote-unquote
football.
journeyman quarterback, step in and look better in that offense than Carson Wentz. I don't trust him. I was loving him against Dallas last year because he looks deer in headlights. Thank you. That's who he's going to be. And
well, you watch Jordan Howard with the Philadelphia Eagles this year, and watch walk it to him and see what he does. Skip.
Does any quarterback in the league now have more pressure on his head than poor Carson Wentz going into this year? Because now Donovan McNabb has planted this seed in the psyches of every Eagle fan of
Dak
look
Prescott.
out. Yeah.
Dak Prescott got the most pressure.
Really?
Because you tell me they're Super Bowl. You, Jerry, and Stephen Jones tells me every year you're Super Bowl bound. All your delusional fans say every year you're Super Bowl bound.
Well, I hate to say
the
this for
pressure's
Carson
on
Wentz,
Dak.
but his bar is now raised to Super Bowl MVP. Speaking of Super Bowls, he's got to measure up to what Nick Foles brought the Eagles, which was a championship and a Super Bowl MVP.
Don't worry. Plenty of pressure.
Well, the Cowboys are only going as far as Zeke can run and carry him.